Greetings, everyone. This is Rock and Roll Spot Country with another event recap. This time we'll be finishing off, going over the last month of the recent Batman family crossover, Fearstate. So, quick rundown of what's happened. Scarecrow has launched an attack on Gotham City, without you and put the city into a state of massive fear without a single drop of fear toxin. Meanwhile, billionaire industrialist Simon Saint has been pushing for the mayor to okay his magistrate program for basically a test run in Gotham City. Unbeknownst to the mayor, of course, is that Simon Saint is basically manipulating events in such a manner so that the idea of the mayor would look bad if he didn't agree to let the magistrate be basically a military police type force in Gotham. As in fact, Saint is bankrolling Scarecrow's current plans. However, Scarecrow is basically taking the money and saying, "I got your money. I'm doing this my way, whether you like it or not." And he dosed Peacekeeper 01 with a massive amount of fear toxin. He also got Batman pretty good, but Batman managed to get past it, and we learned that Batman's new partner in crime fighting, Ghostmaker, is actually, has actually met Jonathan Crane when Crane was in college. Harley is working at making Ivy whole, which is requiring her and the Gardener to head to Alleytown, which is under siege by the magistrate, of course, because, of course it is, right? Nightwing and Batgirl are trying to prevent, are trying to find the hacker Seer, who has managed to hack Oracle's network, the Oracle network. Various other, the Batgirls have their own problems, as does Batwoman. Yeah, there's just a lot of crap going on. So, first off, we'll start with Batman Secret Files, The Gardener, #1, which goes back over the Gardener's origin. Her and Ivy explaining, her past before she met Ivy, also how her and Ivy met in college. They were both students of Jason Woodrue, the Floronic Man. They both got their powers that way, but Ivy bought more into Woodrue's ideals than Gardner did, and so she kind of went off on her own. But she comes to Gotham, explains all this to Batman, and also that she took basically the Ivy seed, which is in the safekeeping of Catwoman. She made when Ivy was dead, and if should Ivy return, that seed can be put back in, can be returned to her as well. Then we've got Detective Comics number 1045, which takes place early on in Fearstate. So, what had been happening? There was an attack on City Hall. Batman managed to save the mayor, and they ended up having to go into the sewers, where they came upon a crutch of eggs of the Q-Vile parasite. One of them started to burrow into the mayor's body, and so where we left off, Batman had just had to electrocute the mayor. Mayor's fine. A little roughed up, but fine. The two of them make their way out of the sewers, and for the moment, at least, enjoy they have a temporary truce. But also, that the whole thing is how the mayor learns of what happened to his former assistant, Hugh Vile. And Nakano decides that there needs to be a better list of monsters needs to be made. Kind of, yeah. Nakano knew some of them, many of the monsters in Gotham were, but there are some who've turned out to be a surprise, especially since he became mayor. Next up, we've got Batman number 116. So, now if I remember correctly, yes. At the end of month 2, the magistrate had begun invading Eden, tracking down, well, any potential targets within. Of course, they went to Ghostmaker. Batman and Molly tracked down, Miracle Molly tracked down Scarecrow, who is utilizing some of the Insanity Collective's tech. But Batman is able to disable it, and it turns out that the whole plan is that Scarecrow intends to let off the Insanity Collective's mind bomb, which would pretty much give everyone a blank slate when it comes to their. It's like they still have certain necessary skills like speech, reading, but they can become an entirely a person. The idea is that the entirety of Gotham can become an entirely the entirety of Gotham City would be a tabula rasa. But that would be the initial idea. What Scarecrow means to do is basically force all the trauma that has been downloaded from the Insanity Collective members' minds onto the entirety of Gotham City, to force the evolution of the city. And however, Molly needs to. So Molly, while PC-01 and Batman fight, Molly needs to disarm the bomb. But Scarecrow makes a good point. To her, at least. In the next part, actually. But yeah, she's trying to just disarm the bomb while Batman's fighting a fear toxin cyborg super soldier. And I am Batman number 3. Okay, quick to forget that this started with Firestate. The young man who killed Anarchy, Morris Caulfield, has his attorney brought to him. His attorney being none other than Tanya Fox. But the jail he's being held in is attacked by members of the moral authority. Some wanted to free Caulfield, some figuring he probably wanted to make sure that he can become a martyr. But while the cops try and get everyone out that they can, Batman shows up, going after the various members of the moral authority, and one of them does almost take a shot at get into the jail, and very nearly takes takes down Tanya Fox and Caulfield. But however, she has her own. She's got her own. She's got a gun and takes him out first. When Batman makes it to her, he manages to talk her down, and takes the gun. However, turns out that Arcanine, the guy that this Batman was going after, and who had been in fact extradited to the States and to Gotham, seemingly committed suicide in prison, and was in fact an associate of one Simon Saint. Now, one thing we do know that's coming for Jace Fox is a relocation to New York City. Presumably, this will be following the Arcanine story, but we shall see. Next up, we've got Batman Urban Legends, number 9. Now, I can't remember if all the stories last month and the month before were Firestate tie-ins, but okay, so maybe not all of them. In Disinformation Campaign, which focused on Batwoman, Batwoman's sister, formerly known as Red Alice, is recovering from her issues that caused that created her dissociative identity. But it turns out Seer has found out who all the members of the Bat family are. It's not with the intention of outing them publicly, but rather just messing with them. It's like, yeah, I can do this. I can do whatever I want. So, Kate, Batwoman, suggests to her sister that perhaps they should try and get out of town, but it's not going to be easy. However, if her sister slipped back into being Red Alice briefly, they could potentially get help. So, she returns to her gang, part of the Church of Blood, or Church of Crime. And she basically says, after fighting a few of the higher-ups, she says, okay, Seer is the enemy, got to take down Seer. That said, Seer already made a deal with the Church of Crime, and is sent in the magistrate to bring down Red Alice. Batwoman shows up, the two of them fight it out. Kate's sister almost has a full relapse into the personality, but she's able to pull herself out. Okay, that's right. So, when all is said and done, it does seem like the two personalities are more merging. Some of the better aspects of Alice are merging with Beth. There was still not entirely sure the Azrael story was part of Firestate or not. Doesn't appear to be. But the Outsiders, a future version of the Signal had sent Soul Taker back. Soul Taker possessed that had an energy version of Black Lightning inside of it. The Outsiders were chasing down a villain known as the Fearful. In the future, the Fearful was torturing the Signal. But in the present, the Outsiders were accidentally exposed to a massive dose of a new version of fear toxin, which the Fearful, it turns out, had inadvertently been a test subject for 2 different versions of fear toxin. And they interacted in an odd way, allowing him to spread fear. But Red Robin managed to help them, and then Red Robin and Clown Hunter teamed up with the Outsiders, and they took down the Fearful, and they managed to burn the toxin out of them, and which changed the future the Signal had sent the sword from. Which also included a nice little nod to Watchmen with the Signal telling the Fearful, "I already beat you. I did it 35 years ago." Next up, we've got Nightwing number 86. Where we left off, Batgirl, Barbara Gordon, and Nightwing had teamed up to try and get her network back online. It has been compromised by Seer. Seer had, in the guise of Oracle, summoned Nightwing to Gotham, and into a trap. Batman saved him. He made it to Barbara. Barbara took it kind of personally that Seer tried to take down Nightwing, but they decided they were going to head out to, the backup of the clock tower. They were also informed of the explosion at the clock tower, and it was hinted to them by Seer that the other Batgirls, Cassandra and Spoiler, were inside when it blew. Also, the 2 had been dosed with fear toxin, and it turns out that their greatest fears is seeing the other get killed. And they kissed, finally. Barbara and Nightwing, that is. So that was the second part, not the first one. Anyway. So in this part, they, in the finale, the other Batgirls, Cassandra, Stephanie, revealed to be alive. The 2 of them, plus Red Robin, after having helped the Outsiders out, and Nightwing and Barbara, go to Simultaneous Airship as they've realized that's where Seer's located. They infiltrate the airship and take it down. Plain and simple. But, however, sadly, Seer manages to escape. And Catwoman, Gardner, and Harley are dealing with copies of the empowered henchperson, White Witch. They dealt with one of her, and now they have to deal with a whole bunch of her. There's a plan to get Harley out of Ivy out of Alleytown, which the Riddler is intending to send Ivy to the Penguin. Well, yeah. So the fight with White Witch continues, and, well, Harley, Selina, and Gardner win. Penguin takes possession of the truck carrying Ivy, only to find out that there's not Ivy inside. It's Clayface, masquerading as Ivy. Ivy has been in the same building as Harley, Selina, and Gardner all along, and so the quartet head down to Eton to merge Ivy and Ivy. Which brings us to Harley Quinn number 9. A lot of this is really is dealing with... So, along the way, after the fight in Alleytown, on the way back to Eden, Harley, Ivy, the company ended up dealing with Keepsake and his knockoff villains and trouncing them soundly. Yeah, it took taken a little bit, but they did it. Then the merging occurs, and Ivy, as everyone knows her, is back. Whoop. Which brings us to Batman number 117. Scarecrow makes a good point to Miracle Molly about the fear bomb. Do you really want to let everyone continue to live in Gotham as it is? You know, there's been evolving into something new, and Molly, the way he puts it, Molly's like, damn it, you got a point. But Batman manages to talk her down. At this point, everything else has succeeded. Saints airship's down. Peacekeeper 1's down. Everyone. Peacekeeper 1 has escaped. But yeah, everything seems to actually be working out fine. And Batman informs Molly of this and convinced, and he talks her in. Basically, I don't know things are going to go to shit again, but I hope they don't. And if they do, I'll try to fix them again. And so yeah, she defuses the bomb, and yeah, all's well that ends well. So we've got two more books. First off, we got Firestate Omega, which is kind of an epilogue, and then we got Arkham City Order of the World number 2, which that was a weird one. With Arkham City, it's hard to tell if that was really part of Fear State or not. Some portions of the first issue kind of pointed to it taking place during Fear State. However, others kind of pointed to it just kind of, to it happening shortly afterwards. Anyway, in Fear State Omega, it's been a few weeks since Fear State. Scarecrow is being transferred into Arkham Tower. Along the way, there's an attempt to free him, but Batman foils it and just takes Scarecrow there himself, and lets him at least wear the mask along the way. Well, Scarecrow mask. And Scarecrow asks, aren't you terrified? You're afraid of all this changing. They don't need you anymore. They know it. Your brain, the way you do things is outdated. But yeah, they're okay. I have some issues, but nothing that I'm willing to accept the change that comes from with time. And he talks about things. It sets up kind of where characters are afterwards. But he finally delivers Crane to Arkham Tower, where he's met by Crane's doctor, Dr. Chase Meridian, who you may recall as having been played in Batman Forever by none other than Nicole Kidman. Among the things we find out is that Miracle Molly has agreed to take the blame for all the Insanity Collective's crimes. She has a time. No one else in the collective gets bothered. The Insanity Collective itself has gone probably further underground than before, but they're still around. Likely looking to just likely trying to help people become who they want to be. Kind of unfortunate. I've been mentioning this for a while now. Ever since it was revealed that James Tynion IV is leaving. This was in fact James Tynion IV's last book for DC. But the fact that Miracle Molly is actually a really interesting character, and because Tynion's leaving DC, we'll likely never see her again. She'll be locked away in in Blackgate for who knows. Maybe some writer down the line will say, hey, you know what? There was a character back in the Tinian run of Batman, Miracle Molly. She was really cool. Has there been anything done with her since then? Oh, she went to prison, and nothing. I want to change that. So, I mean, fingers crossed, right? And finally, we have Argo City, The Order of the World, issue 2. The rest of Order of the World will be gone over normally over in the confines of the weekly roundup, but yeah. Dr. Joy is secretly who's working with the GCPD and trying to round up the various Arkham escapees, is secretly harboring one of them, the Ten-Eyed Man, who has an odd theory that he's trying to commit an odd ritual. In Gotham's Bowery, a dealer has former villain Double X chained up and is basically still in contact with him as a drug. But and Azrael is seeking answers, or at least people to pummel. So the theory that after performing the ritual the Ten-Eyed Man does, he takes a map of Gotham and basically draws a map of Arkham on top of it. And he states that, brings up the Bowery, saying that is where, you'll find another one there. And the thing of it is, but he doesn't refer to it as the Bowery, he refers to it as where it lies concerning the map, and lo and behold, it actually works. But Azrael's made it to the Bowery first, and yeah. Double X tries to break free. Detective Stone, the GCPD officer that Dr. Joy is working with, also shows up and sees something nuts. Gets grazed in the head with a bullet. And Azrael manages to take down Double X, as well as the guy who's holding him captive. The guy holding him captive is taken down in a rather permanent manner, it seems, while Double X is simply beaten bloody by Azrael. But and then, of course, Joy gets the call that her partner is, in the hospital. The cop she's working with is in the hospital. He's been shot. And, of course, she was the last person to talk to him. So, yeah. Arkham City, Order of the World is a weird book, just gonna say. And having already read issue 3, yeah, it gets weirder. Anyway, that's going to be it for that's it for the Firestate recap. First off, yes, I realize that the roundup video should have gone up last night and today, but things kind of got in the way. So, and I'm honestly kind of starting to think that maybe trying to do the roundup videos on Saturday would likely be better. Likely, they're going to be, because that won't entirely be feasible. Christmas, depending on my New Year's plans, but you get the idea. When those weeks pop up, we'll figure something out. But yeah, I'm gonna be trying to do the recaps starting here on. At least for the next two will be Saturday recaps. And I'm going to figure out what I'm going to do when it comes to the one for Christmas week. But part of it is, I guess, depend on my work schedule. So anyway, as always, feel free to like, share, and subscribe. Links to my Facebook, Twitter, Patreon, and PayPal found in the description box down below. This is Rock and Roll Spock signing off saying, live long and rock hard.